misogyny. I'm your host, Hannah Blue. You're listening to episode 90, A Country Divided. Well, hello, my listeners. It's nice to sit down and speak with you again. First, let me say, misogyny is not a political podcast. If you've been listening to me for a while, you've heard me say it. But I have addressed politics more than once. And today I'm going to do it again. Because according to media and what we all witnessed via video, on January 7th, one day after the anniversary of January 6th, where MAGA insurrectionists took over the Capitol, with the advice, direction, and approval of their leader, Donald J. Trump, an innocent woman's life was taken by an ICE agent, Jonathan Ross. Her name is Renee Nicole Good. She was 37, a mother of 3, and a poet. I, like many Americans in our country, am shocked and outraged by Renee's death. We are sickened by how she was portrayed by Trump and J.D. Vance. And I'm going to tell you something. Don't believe anything that comes out of their mouths. And this is directed specifically to the countries that stream us, especially the countries that have been streaming us since last week. Ireland, Hong Kong, India, Colombia, Japan, Australia, Finland, and the United Kingdom. Do not believe what the president and the vice president of this country is saying about this woman. First and foremost, she was not a domestic terrorist. She did not try to run the ICE agent down with her truck. Those are bold-faced lies. But this is what we're dealing with. The rational, compassionate believers of equality in this country that are not MAGA. This is what we have to deal with. A president and a vice president who are so cruel and devoid of compassion. They embarrass us every single day and label innocent Americans as terrorists simply because they don't agree with their politics. This is what everyone in America who is not MAGA, who is kind, rational, and compassionate has to deal with. A president and a vice president, sociopaths, painting everyday, ordinary American citizens as domestic terrorists. It is sick and disgusting. And let me tell you something, liberals. We need to win the midterm elections. If we're going to take back our country, we have to take back the power in the House and the Senate. I don't want any excuses as to why you can't get off your butt and vote. You need to understand what's happening to this country and get yourselves in gear. Renee Nicole Good was a white woman. Some might ask, well, what does that have to do with that? That has everything to do with it. If she were black, no one would have batted an eyelash. They probably would have believed that she was aggressive and trying to run the agent down. But this was a white woman, and this is what I predicted when I was on Threads. This is one of the reasons I was kicked off. I also said that Mark Zuckerberg is weak. I meant it when I said it then, and I mean it now. Okay, that's what really got me kicked off of Threads. One of the reasons I got kicked off was because I said this administration is going to start turning on white people, and then you're going to understand how it feels to be a minority in this country. Well, ladies, gents, and non-binary people, what I predicted has come to pass. An innocent white woman was shot in her head for nothing. I feel as an American, I need to do my due diligence and show respect for Renee's murder. Now, who was Renee Nicole Good? Despite being unjustly categorized as a domestic terrorist, the people who knew her have come out saying she was an amazing human being, very kind, very loving, a peaceful woman. I believe that. Trump sent his ICE agents to Minneapolis, Minnesota to do what they do best, beat and terrorize immigrants. The story that the right is crafting, meaning MAGA, the story that they want people to believe is that people were allegedly blocking the ICE agents and preventing them from doing their jobs. I'm going to say again, believe nothing that comes out of their mouths. Even if they say the sky is blue, don't believe it. Go look for yourself. According to media, Renee was from Colorado Springs, Colorado, but she had recently moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota to be with her partner. She was a part of the LGBTQIA community. She had been previously married twice. She had 2 children with her first husband and a 6-year-old with her second husband. She also hosted a podcast. Her second husband's name is Tim Macklin, and he died in 2023. I'm not using her first husband's name because he asked for his name not to be used in the media, but he said that Good was not an activist, and she was a devoted Christian who went to Northern Ireland on youth missions when she was younger. On Instagram, Good described herself as a poet, a writer, a wife, and a mom. She studied creative writing at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia, and in 2020, she won an undergraduate prize from the Academy of American Poets for her piece that was called On Learning to Dissect Fetal Pigs. Media quoted her biography from the prize. When she is not writing, reading, or talking about writing, she has movie marathons and makes messy art with her daughter and 2 sons. She also graduated in 2020 with a degree in English. Old Dominion University's president Brian Hemphill spoke on her behalf. He said, "Her sudden death was yet another clear example that fear and violence have sadly become commonplace in our nation. May Renee's life be a reminder of what unites us: freedom, love, and peace." Minnesota state leaders say that Good was at the scene of an ICE raid as a legal observer, a volunteer who monitors police and security forces at protests and operations. And the reason why volunteers do this is because people have been severely beaten at these ICE raids. So people come out and record them to prevent deaths, because the one thing ICE loves to do is put a knee on the neck, and that is how George Floyd died. Not from drugs, a knee to the neck. And that sparked protests all across this country. Here's the irony. The murder scene where Good was killed is about 1 mile from where George Floyd was murdered in 2020. Good's mother is Donna Ganger, and she said, "Renee was one of the kindest people I've ever known. She was extremely compassionate. She's taken care of people all her life. She was loving, forgiving, and affectionate." Now, when you talk about all-American girl, that's who Renee was. She was a mom who took care of her kids. She was educated. She believed in justice and compassion and equality. And she was shot in her head for nothing. But let's get into what the president, that puts a bad taste in my mouth, and the vice president, that's a double bad taste in my mouth, had to say about her murder. Trump released a statement on Wednesday after he saw the video and said, "It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator," whatever that means, "and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. That is a lie." If you're on Reddit, watch the tape. As a matter of fact, there are a couple of videos floating around. Trump's administration released one, and the ICE agent was holding a phone. Now, according to Trump's administration, in this video, you can clearly see Renee trying to run Ross over, but that's not the case. She turned the car sharply and was trying to get away. Anyone with eyes can see this, folks, but you know what? MAGA is so brainwashed. Trump could shoot a baby in the middle of the street and they'll say the baby was asking for it. Okay? There is not one person with a shred of common sense that would agree that Renee was trying to run the ICE agent over. That's just not true. He went on to say, the situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left, that means leftist Democrats, is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. That is a bold-faced lie. The only threat in this country is ICE and Secretary Kristi Noem, who's in on every disgusting act. Trump went on to say, they are trying to do the job of making America safe. That's a lie. They're killing Americans. Americans are not safe from ICE. They're not making anything safe anywhere. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left movement of violence and hate. The only ones that are violent and hateful is MAGA. That is Trump and his base. Don't let these lies fool you. As an American, I can say America has never been united, but Trump is doing everything he can to cause division. America was never supposed to be founded on right wing and left wing because we are all Americans. And that's something he and J.D. Vance just don't understand. Let's get into his sickening comments. Vance is 41, but he looks 72. He says, the circumstances of Good's death was an attack on federal law enforcement as well as the American people. What a crock. He said Good was a radical activist. That's a lie. And that she was a part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. He also accused her of trying to hit the ICE agent who shot her with her car. That is a bold-faced lie. If you watch the video, you'll see he was nowhere near in danger of being run over with a car. Vance said he shot back. He defended himself. Everyone who has been repeating the lie that this was some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves, every single one of you. The only people that should be ashamed of themselves are J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and Kristi Noem. They are out here killing innocent Americans. And guess what? According to Vance, the ICE agent won't face charges. Renee's mother denies that her daughter was a terrorist, and she said, that's so stupid. She was probably terrified. I have no doubt that Renee was scared when she saw that gun pointing at her. Anyone with common sense would be. She also denies that ICE acted in self-defense. Vance went on to say, nobody wants to see an American killed. It's a tragedy. But it's a tragedy of the making of the far left. He also lied when he said the Department of Homeland Security, headed by Kristi Noem, is investigating it. They're not. Trust me. They're not going to write a vowel on a piece of paper. They've already demonized Renee's character in the media, and that's how it's going to stand. Vance said you have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. That's a lie. Every American with common sense is debating that. Nobody on the left is against law enforcement officers or ICE. What we are against is unlawful beatings and murder. J.D. Vance lied when he said this guy was doing his job. She tried to stop him from doing his job. No, she didn't. A tragedy? Absolutely. But a tragedy that falls on this woman and all of the radicals who teach people that immigration is the one type of law that rioters are allowed to interfere with. That is a lie. I've seen people ask, well, what was she doing out there? She was doing what normal mothers do. She had just dropped her 6-year-old son off at school when she came upon the ICE agents. That's what good mamas do. They drop their babies off at school. The volunteers go out there to make sure they are recording so that when unjust deaths and beatings occur, we have the footage. The people can see what actually happened. At no time was Jonathan Ross in fear of his life. And I'm with Minneapolis's mayor, Jacob Frey. He said the White House's version of the events are BS. That's right. And warned ICE to get the F out of Minneapolis. Mayor Frey also said they will do everything in their power to ensure justice and said they are trying to spin this as an act of self-defense. Having seen the video myself, I want to tell everybody directly that is BS. This was an agent recklessly using his power that resulted in somebody getting killed. Your only response for being in our city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing the opposite. And he's right. Governor Tim Walz also responded. He said, I've seen the video. Don't believe this propaganda machine. What we're seeing is the consequences of governance designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict. It is governing by reality TV. And today, that recklessness cost someone their lives. Trump is scared that if conservatives don't win the midterms, he's going to be impeached. Let me tell you something. He needs to be a lot more than impeached. He and J.D. Vance need to be removed from office immediately. Renee Nicole Good was a good human being. She was a mother who minded her business. She moved to Minneapolis for love, not to start trouble. Now, 3 kids are without a mother. And for what? The president and the vice president, people who are supposed to be the leaders of this country, who are supposed to protect American citizens, are doing everything in their power to kill anyone who doesn't agree with them. And that, people, is just that. My heart goes out to Renee Nicole Good, her 3 children, her partner, her mother, everyone who loved her. There needs to be a reckoning. They all need to be held accountable for the things that they're doing. And that includes Renee's death. This woman didn't have to die. This could have been prevented. But when you're given a license to kill, then that's what's going to happen. Now we're going to switch gears and bring the episode to a close. When I think of all the terrible things that have happened in this country, the only thing that kept people going was the arts. Music, writing, poetry, painting. Some of the best works of art were written in protest of fear and tyranny. Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. Neil Young wrote Ohio about the shootings at Kent State in the 70s. And the 70s was a long time ago. It's now 2026. But we still need the arts to keep us going, to give us hope that one day this terrible administration will be over and the victims will see justice. I am no Jimi Hendrix, okay? But I believe in justice and equality, especially for women. I wrote Platerius in protest of the Supreme Court dismantling Roe versus Wade, denying women the right to make decisions about their reproductive health. It's a good trilogy. And I'm not just saying that because I wrote it. I'm saying it because of the feedback I've received about it. Platerius is 3 short novellas that you can read in a single weekend. It's one of only 4 arcs that I've written. I've also penned the Codarius duology, the Janias trilogy, and the Maimon duology. Maimon Paradox dropped on January 1st, and the second part, Maimon Revelations, will drop on February 1st, with their ebooks dropping on January 15th and February 14th. We cannot allow this administration to snuff out our hope. If you are a writer, poet, a musician, an artist, I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop. You need your talent, not only to preserve your mental health, but to bring happiness to others. When you have a gift, you have a responsibility to share that gift with others, whether you know it or not. I didn't know Renee Good, but I was telling my sister last night, her death is weighing heavily on me because I know if they can do it to her, they can do it to any mother. White, black, indigenous, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, you name it. We have to stand together, and we cannot afford to spiral out of control in the face of evil. So guys, keep streaming your music, keep buying books and novellas, keep going to these museums that they haven't closed down, keep supporting your local libraries, keep up the good fight of faith, and in the end, we will come out on the other side, not in darkness, but in light. And with that, I'm out of time. The weekend is here, you guys, so I want you to be easy. Take care of yourselves and each other. I will be back with more stories. Until then, be easy, keep the faith, pray for each other, and